Isaiah, we're on.
Hi, Donna. How are you?
I'm good. So something interesting happened to me that I wanted to talk to
Yeah.
you about. And in a way, now that I'm looking at it, I'm looking back at it and I'm recognizing that what occurred is almost like a microcosm as to job search, having a successful business, having a successful career, and
Yeah.
almost like branding in general. So this is what occurred to me. I had gotten word that not far from where I live, they were going to build a Chick-fil-A. I know, sounds crazy. In the worst location possible. Not only was it like really close to houses, but it's in this area that's already congested. Like
Mm.
it just wasn't the right place. And so I've got a lot going on in my world, right? I don't have time to become a community organizer or anything to this extent.
Right.
But I felt really strongly because this is near my home. I'm like, I can't let this happen. But I kept thinking someone else would step up and take over and like get people organized and do something. And no one did. No one did. And so I feel compelled to start a petition and to start trying to say, hey, real estate developers, we don't want you here. The zoning's not right. You need variances. Like, don't even go down this path, right? So where am I going with it? So I start this petition and, I need to get people to sign it.
Yeah.
And I start going onto social media and I'm posting links to it. But oddly enough, I'm not getting a lot of traction.
Mm.
But what did get me traction was I had to go out and meet with people. I had to canvass my area. I had to shake hands. And next thing we know, we have almost 1,000 signatures.
Wow.
Now, as I'm doing this, I start getting messages, hate mail from people telling me that I'm a Karen, telling me just strange things. But then I have to give a speech in front of the township, letting them know why it's a bad idea. It's not just that it's near my house, but location-wise, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I do this, and then I suddenly start getting messages from people within the community telling me that I should be running for the local government. So let's step back. So where's the microcosm here?
Yeah.
Yeah, like what's sticking out to you? Because there's a whole bunch of things here sticking out to
Yeah.
me. One, sometimes you have to be the one that takes that step forward.
Right.
No one else is going to do it. You have to do it.
Yes.
When you do step forward, you got to meet with people in person,
In person. Yeah. That's a differentiator.
right? Two, you're going to get haters.
Oh, for sure.
You're going to get haters. And you have to be able to just keep pushing through it. You can't pay attention to that stuff. And then the other piece of this that really, like, I think my jaw dropped a little bit was it doesn't take much that when a person does step forward, people start to realize it and opportunities start to drop in your lap. I never would have thought that by simply taking those steps, stuff would happen. So, like, if you look at this, think of how this applies to your business. I'm sure you've experienced some of these things as well. I mean, all of us have. Whenever you step forward, things happen.
Yeah. I think what also happens is things are not going to happen right away. And I think that's what a lot of people miss. And if you step forward just online with how congested it is, things are not just going to happen. They get out there loud, maybe on social media alone, and they don't get that response.
Yeah.
And they give up.
Because
And then getting out I mean, this, you talk about it being a microcosm, whether it's job searching or anything, like if you want to get something done, if you go out and meet people, I think everybody's made that decision eventually. It was like, I got to go out to, again, just for that context, a job fair, or I got to go out to this, where these companies are going to be, or I got to go to some sort of networking event or in person. That's when things will start happening because people know the person behind the post rather than just thinking it's whatever AI or something else posting. And then the opportunities come because you're just there. You actually showed up physically, not just
it's
online.
almost like you've splashed around. You've waved your hand. You're like, hey, I'm here. And I think people are hungry for that. I think there's so few people who are willing to do that. The other part of the social media piece that I recognized is, I'm suddenly jumping into these groups that I have never been active in, or I just joined the group and I'm posting out of the blue. And of course, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram aren't necessarily showing these posts to people because I hadn't established a presence yet.
Right. Right. I think in a job search, it's just like, I'm just going to upload a bunch of these resumes. I'm going to go to these job sites, Indeed, Monster, post my resume there, and all these people are going to be there. And then they feel a sense of rejection if nothing happens. It's like, well, you haven't met anybody. Nobody knows you exist. They're not just going to find you. Like, you have to go to people's doorsteps. People don't want to leave their homes. I think people are hungry for it, but I think people have been trained to not have that kind of initiative anymore.
Yeah.
Right? They don't have company over anymore. Like, you're going out somewhere, they're just doing it online. Like, they're just not used to it. So if you do that, it's a way to separate yourself from the majority of people instantly just by being the person that'll go out, show up at a company's doorstep.
I remember years ago when I first took that first step into the career, into the professional world. And I remember my father saying that to me. You've got to knock on doors. You've got to get out there. Why don't you just drive to that company and show up with your resume in hand and you hand it to them? I could not even imagine. I couldn't imagine doing it, and I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But now, and it's funny, in retrospect, now, I wonder why more don't.
It's always there. It's always the answer. If you ever look at anybody running for any kind of office, right, since you brought that up, I always look at that. I'm like, okay, that's the model that has worked for hundreds, thousands of years. What do? They're not they use social media for sure, but they're out there, whatever, kissing babies, going to
Shaking hands
events,
and kissing babies.
talking to a group of their name recognition. They're going, like, there's like 99 counties. There's always some candidate every 4 years that goes to like all 99 counties or whatever, like every single one. And they're just meeting with like 5 people at a time. I'm like, man, and like, what am I doing? I'm like, oh, I'm so sad that I can't achieve whatever goals. Like, am I going to 99 counties? Like, am I living in a van? I think of, people that are trying to with their, like a music band or like a comedian, like they're in vans.
Yeah.
Very, sometimes not nice vans, traveling to shows where they'll get like 3 or 4 people to show up at a time for years, for 10 years. And then, are you in a van going to company after company? Right? Are you going like to the doorstep? Like you said, like that's a huge separate. I think even just doing something by video versus uploading your resume, just on the job search topic. I've seen a lot of articles recently about somebody who does a video, like an interview video about why you should hire me. And these people get snapped up very quickly. But then if I talk to anybody about doing that, they're like, oh, no. Yeah, you still wanting to get hired.
It is scary. And I think the rejection of it is scary. But,
Yeah.
when we look at the resumes, the sheer amount of resumes that are out there and the people that are applying, and it's just, what can you do to separate yourself? How can you make yourself different from all the others? How can you stand out? How can you show that you care? How can you show that you're real? That, I think, is really the differentiator.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's an amazing story. You found leverage to get you to go past those challenges. The leverage for you was the fact that this was going to be near your house. There was a pain point. And then you used that pain point against yourself to drive you out there, because you could have quit at any step of the way, but the pain and the leverage you had against yourself was enough to keep you going. And I think a lot of people, they hide from that pain and leverage. Think, oh, well, it's okay that I'm unemployed. It's okay that I don't have a job. This job's good enough. You actually have to face that pain. It's like Charles Dickens, the ghost of past, present, and future. So you think about how bad your past was and how it hasn't worked for you, like being like in a job that you really don't like, right? Currently, what your situation is and what you really don't like about it. And then what happens in the future if you keep on this path, you stay down here, never hit your goals, whatever. Most people hide from all of those things. They evade reality. But if you focus on it, allow yourself to feel massive pain, that's what's going to give you the leverage to change.
Yeah. And I know myself, I keep thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm going to open my house and my door, and am I going to smell that chicken? It's like the thought of it was just so horrendous, having to leave my neighborhood and the cars.
I won't smell chicken. I'm not going to have it.
Smell that.
I don't want to smell chicken.
But here's the thing, Isaiah. I also think there's another piece to this. And when I look at the neighborhood, I'm far enough away. It's really not going to affect me. I'm far enough away from where this where it's going, where if it is developed, and there's a very good chance it still might be. even though the township is telling me otherwise. But, money talks. So we'll see what happens. But there were a lot of houses far closer
Yeah.
that truly will be affected. And, when I went to that township meeting, I was the only one. I really was the only one that grabbed this. And I also think that in some ways, what helped me do this is that I'm okay getting in front of an audience and
Yeah.
speaking. I'm okay talking to people and going up to strangers and saying, "Hi, my name's Donna Serdula," because I've networked my butt off
Right.
over
Right.
the last 20, 30 years. So a lot of this stuff that I used were things that I did to build my business, to
Yep.
build my career. It had a lot to do with my sales, my networking. And I almost wonder if, I think a lot of people wanted
Hmm.
to step up, but they didn't have that background or
Yeah.
those knowledge points, and it prevented them from stepping up. So in some ways, when we say, "Oh, job seekers, you should be doing these things," it's so far outside of their comfort zone. So it's
Yeah.
almost like, how can you teach a person and say, yeah, it's okay to take that step. It's okay to reach out to someone, because I could do it because I do that type of thing.
I think what's hard for people is it's that first jumping into the cold water. So they have to do it first, get out there. I still remember how you feel, not necessarily what you did, but I remember the first time that I did a video and put it out there. This was 2013, 12, something like that. You put a video out there and you see yourself. This is before everybody was putting videos out there, before TikTok, et cetera. And then you get that first person to comment, like, who is this joke or whatever. Dude, dealing with that discomfort of seeing yourself,
And hearing yourself, that when you start to hear
Yeah.
your own voice, oh my gosh.
For the first time, somebody's, yeah.
horrible.
And I think everybody's had that experience. As a kid, you hear your voice for the first time on recording, and you're like, oh my God, I sound like that. Some people never get past that. They just can't say, I don't like how some people still don't like getting on pictures. I don't like how I do this.
And the one thing I have found is I remember hearing my voice, and especially as a kid, but then
Yeah.
starting to do this type of thing, it was horrible. But I will say, the more you listen to yourself, the more what you hear in
Yeah.
recordings becomes the same.
Yeah, that's true. You just get over it. So
Yeah.
you just like, it doesn't phase you as much. And I think that's what keeps a lot of people from doing it. But how do you get them to go out there for the first time? Just one baby step. Go to one event with 5 people instead of 500. Speak up to somebody, find somebody else that you can go with, find something that really drives you to do it. Everybody has it inside of them. I've seen people for years who just can't get that thing to happen. They can talk about it, but can't get it. And something happens in their life, some triggering event, and they just change everything. And they're just like a new person. And they finally get past it, like some sort of never again moment, or like, no way that's happening. And they do it. And that's what gets them past the pain and the uncomfortableness. So
seek out those experiences.
yeah, go for them. But I think you're good. I mean, the lesson too is that those opportunities are going to come. Like, that's what's the magic thing about networking, is everybody always wants certainty. If I go to this networking event, is the result going to happen? Probably not the way you think it is. You're going to have something else because you're around people. Like, you're around people, there's a certain level of trust. You might be asked to do things, whether it's run for an office or do something else. You might be given a different job that you didn't even know is there, that's in the pipeline, that's not even posted. It can only happen if you go around people.
You almost have to go without that expectation. It's almost like trusting in the universe that something is going to happen. I know that rubs some people the wrong way, but I do feel that there's something to be said. It's almost like you have to just go and be open.
Intent matters.
Whatever.
Yeah, intent matters. The way your perspective matters. Because it's just your reticular activating system, right? It's like, once you buy a car of a certain type, you're going to see that car everywhere. How did that happen? Car was always there. Just see it. I used to, every time, like a comedian, like, you see this comedian for the first time, this person's really funny. And then you see them everywhere because they were always there.
Or is it Facebook and the social media feeding you what they think you want to see? That too.
I know. You could be primed too. Yeah, but I think if your RAS is like, I'm going to be open to possibilities for this goal, I mean, why do vision boards this day? Because you see it all the time. You just start seeing other places. But if you're closed off, you think it can't happen to you, it probably won't.
Yeah. And you know what I named my company? Vision Board
Just
Media.
I was just thinking of that when I was seeing your logo behind you. Exactly right. So opportunity comes to to those who get out there, I guess. It was a lesson.
You got to take that step. Got to take that step forward. You have to claim what you want. You have to realize that sometimes you're the one. And then you have to get out amongst people. I think you can do a lot of mass emails and postings, and I think that's great. But I think we always have to realize that there's real people there. And the more we intermingle and the more we mix with them, good things will happen. So there we go.
All right.
Isaiah, thank you so much for this great conversation.
All right.
All right.
Next time. Bye.